hands together for Tricia Alexandro. So I'm a native New Yorker, but after college I decided to move to LA to pursue a career in acting. And after joining a cult and getting run over by a car, I decided to go back to New York. I had enough. And so my sister, who was at Boston University at the time, called me and she said, "Would you like help, packing up before you move back to New York?" And I said, "Yes, thanks." So she took a flight over to LA, and I quickly realized that she had an ulterior motive. That the Golden Globe Awards were that weekend, and it was the year of Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and both of us were just rabid fans. We had seen the movie like 5 times in the theater. We loved the story, like the fact that they wrote the screenplay, and like we just thought that was going to be our lives. So, so we were determined, or she was determined, to meet the two of them. I'm much more of a rule abider, so when she told me this, I was like, it's not good. She said, "We're going to sneak into the Golden Globe, and we are going to meet Matt Damon and Ben Affleck." And I was like, "That doesn't sound right." So I said, "You know what? I have to pack. If you want to find out where they are and all that stuff, like, I'll go along with it." So, this was pre-internet, and somehow my sister found out that they're at the Beverly Hilton, and she got a room for the night at the Hilton because she thought, they're not going to let us on the premises without a room. So, yeah, she's crazy. So, we got dressed in our finest, which we're from Queens, so that meant palazzo pants with like a cigarette hole. Stain on the other one, but it was on the back, so you couldn't tell. Bright red lipstick, which hasn't changed. Big hair, which hasn't really changed. And I don't know if you remember, like 1998, but those little backpacks were really good stuff. And neither of us knew how to drive, so we took 2 buses to Beverly Hilton. And sure enough, when the buses let out, there was paparazzi and security everywhere. And they said, "I'm sorry, ladies, you're not allowed on the premises." And she said, "No, we have a room." And they said, "Oh, right this way." So we get to the front desk, and the woman said, "You've got a single. If you want your sister to stay with you, you have to pay another $150. And she said, "No problem." And she puts her American Express card on the counter. Now, she's a college student. She doesn't have a pot to piss, and I don't have any money. I'm like, "Amy, what are you doing?" She said, "We're going to meet Matt and Ben." So now we upgrade to this room. It's got this bed bigger than anything I've ever seen in my life. We get up to the room, and we're like jumping on the bed like Pretty Woman, and we're so excited to meet Matt and Ben. And she said, "You know what? We don't even need to get into the Golden Globes. We need to get into the Miramax after party, because Miramaxes are the ones that released Good Will Hunting." So she figured Matt, Ben, all those guys are going to be at the after party. So even before we get to the room at the front desk, she says, "You know what? We were invited to the Miramax after party, but we never got our tickets." And we just we didn't even discuss this. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to stay quiet. So the woman behind the desk is talking to my sister as if she's somebody, and she's like, "Oh, well, the party is going to be in the Whittier room, which is in this building around the corner. So maybe if you go to the Whittier room, they'll have tickets there. I don't have any here." So Amy says, "Thank you." And now we know where the party is. So we stake out the Whittier room, and we, sort of make a mental note for later. We go up to our room, we watch the Golden Globes in our hotel room, eating peanuts, and then win the best screenplay. And we're screaming, woo, so excited. This is just icing on the cake. We get ready now because the ceremony's over, and Amy says, "Let's not take the elevator down, let's walk down the stairs, because the elevator is going to let out into security." I'm like, fuck. So 14 flights later, she was totally right, because we can see the elevator bank on the first floor, and there's security everywhere, whereas we let out and we open the door and there's nobody, and the Whittier room is like 10 feet away, and there's a velvet rope and a blonde guy with a list of names, and Amy just walks right up to him, and again, we have not discussed any plans, and I'm just kind of behind her like, okay. And she says to the blonde guy, "Hi, our name is on the list, but we never got our tickets." And he said, "Oh, okay, what's your last name?" And she gives our real last name, Alexandro. And then she looks over his shoulder, and there's an Alexandrova and an Alexandrakis. And he said, I'm sorry, your name's not on the list. So she said, is Cole Hauser here? He can vouch for us. Now, Cole Hauser is one of the actors in Good Will Hunting. You don't know him. You do not know him. And he's like, Cole's not here yet. If you'd like to stand over to the side, we can wait for him to come, but I can't let you in the party. And she's like, okay. You know, so we step over to the side, and she's like, come on, plan B. So we like start walking off, and meanwhile, it's just this procession of everybody going up this red ramp. So it's, you know, the cast of ER, which was like George Clooney at the time, the cast of Friends, which was Jennifer Aniston at the time, or all the time. Then like Ben Affleck comes up with Gwyneth Paltrow, who he was dating, and Matt Damon comes up the path with Winona Ryder, who he was dating. And we're just like drunk now. We're like, we have to get in this party, you know. So then Casey Affleck comes, and you know, because we had seen the movie so many times, we love Casey just as much as we love. And nobody seemed to know him. So there are, you know, people like screaming for everybody else, but they kind of fall silent when Casey comes by. And he's walking with a male friend of his who we don't recognize. And they walk into the party, and you know, he's from here to here. We could have been like, Casey, and he would have heard us. Instead, we're like, Casey! We totally startled the guy, because we're the only ones screaming. One of those, and he like looks at us, and we're like, you know. And then he goes into the party, and then Amy's like, oh, that was our chance. We should have totally just asked these two stag guys. We should have just been like, can you take us into the party? We didn't think of it, whatever. So we keep like walking around the area, kind of trying to think of ideas. We come back to the front door, and now it's a blonde woman with the list of names, and Amy's like, score. So we go up to the woman, and Amy says, our name is on the list, but we don't have our tickets. And the woman says, it's not on the list. I saw you here 10 minutes ago. And Amy's just staring her down. Like, let's do this, bitch, you know? And she said, you know what? I wash my hands of you. Go ahead in. There's a second checkpoint. If you can get past the second checkpoint, you're in. And then she kind of smirks at her friend next to her, like, it'll never happen. And my sister's like, thank you. And we go in, like, run to the second checkpoint with the blonde guy. So we do a quick, like, beeline over to the left and go into the bathroom, which is right next to him. And we're like, oh crap, how do we get past the blonde guy? What do we do? So, in the meantime, the whole bathroom is swarmed with these girls who look like they're 14 years old, but they're wearing dresses that are worth more than my life. Like, you know, in couture, and they're like primping in the mirror. And my sister says to them, in her palazzo pants, how do you get in the party? We don't have tickets and we want to get in. And the girl's like, my dad is a member of the foreign press. I can get you in. And we're like, she takes us to this entrance we hadn't even seen. It's off to the left. There's nobody standing there. We walk right in. We're like doing a dance, and then we realize we're in the wrong party. It's the Titanic party. Leonardo DiCaprio's right there. Kate Winslet. She was married to the director. She was like putting a cigarette out in a potted plant. She was like this to us. Wrong party. We stayed for like 5 minutes, and then we walked out. We're like, well, this is not what we're here for. This is not the reason why we came.